In this video, we are going to discuss about class inheritance, right? So what we mean by inheritance, as the name suggests, right? Inheritance. So you are going to get something from an already existing class. So that's what we call class inheritance. So we are going to create another class using an already existing class. So we are going to inherit a class from an already existing class, right? So as the name suggests, it's going to provide a new class from an already existing class, right? So what's the idea about class inheritance? When it comes to inheritance, that you have mainly you have to have minimum two classes, right? So the one class can be identified as the parent class, or we call them as the base class, and the other class is called the child class or the derived class, right? So what we can do, for example, now we are working with the rectangle class, right? So what we can do, now we have already existing class called rectangle, and we are going to inherit a new class from a child class from that already existing rectangle class called square class, right? So what happens simply, when you are going to inherit a child class from a parent class or derived class from a base class, what happens? All the attributes, what I mean by attributes, data members and methods, right, will be inherited to the child class. So they will be called as inherited attributes. And the specialty about child class is that a child class can contain both inherited attributes like members and method from the parent class, as well as its own attributes. I mean, if we take a real world example, now let's assume that you are going to get something inherited from your parents, right? So you are going to get a bike, you are going to get land, right? So those things are inherited from your family or your parents, but you can have your own, right? So you get your car, you can get your house, they are own. So when it comes to a child class has both inherited attributes like data members and method from the parent class as well as its own, right? So let's see an example. Now here we have the well-known rectangle class that we used up to now, right? So the constructor is there, and the find area method is there, the find perimeter method is there, and the print details method are there, and it has the, I mean, the attributes, the local variables and the instant variables like this, right? So then how we are going to inherit the rectangle class, I mean, how we are going to create a new class called square by inheriting the rectangle class is like this. So you have to, when you are going to create the square class, if you pass the rectangle class into that class, so that's how we are going to inherit it. So this is the method of inheriting. So you have to pass the parent class into the square class within the parentheses, right? So now what this has a constructor, you can see a constructor which takes a length, and so it has its own member called length of side, and it's equal to length passed from the constructor, right? And we have a print square details, another method called print square details. So that's length of one side, it prints the length of one side. Now one important thing, so this is how it looks like, right? So you have the rectangle class. So since you are going to inherit it, the square class from the rectangle class, uh, the all the data members available there, data members and the methods available there in the rectangle class, right? So this will be there, you can see, right? But it has its own length of one side and print details. So this is a data member and print details is a method. So those will be considered as its own, right? In the square class. So that's what I have explained here. Now, though the find area, find perimeter, print details, height, width, area, those data members are not shown here, not included here, they are there, right? That means the since the square class is a child of the rectangle class, no need to mention the no need to include that the find area, find perimeter, print details, those will be there by default, right? For example, now let me show something like this. Now uh, here, yeah, here, this is how you can, sorry, we have run this. This is how you can create a square object. So, right, so we can then call, we can pass some value like 10 and call the print square details, right? Now let me show you something like sq2 dot print details, right? So now you can see there's nothing declared here as print details, but you have a parent, and inside the parent there is a print detail. So for the child, the print details will be available. So if you run this one, you will see some values. Uh, uh, yes, so let me check whether there is an error. Let's give one print details with attribute with, yeah, so class is square. Yes. Yes, so yeah, the thing is now I haven't, sorry, we can't do it here. I will explain it later, but for now, let's keep it like this. Now I will show you something. Now, we have the square class like this, and in the constructor, I'm going to do something like this, that I'm going to take the length from the main, right? So then what I'm going to do, I'm going to assign it to the length of one side. Then I'm going to assign it to the width, height. I'm going to both width and height, I'm going to assign the length of side, right? So if you pass 10, so 10 will be assigned to both height and width. Now, height and width, what happens? So height and width are available as inherited attributes here, right? So we can use them. So what we can do, okay, the 10 we are going to pass, I'm going to assign it to the one side length, and thereafter I'm going to assign it the width and the height, uh, the inherited attributes, right? So what we'll do, then thereafter we can call the find area, find perimeter, print details. So now these two are parent methods, not own methods, right? So it's still, it works. See, now 10, the area is 100 and the perimeter is 40, right? So this is correct. Now what happened behind was that uh, here, when you are going to pass width and the height, and we are going to make the width and height equal to the length of side. So what happens here is simply the width and the height will become 10, both will become 10, and when you are going to call the width and height, the area equal width into height, so 10 into 10, and perimeter like 2 into 20, right? So since those are inherited attributes, child can use them, right? So that's how this works, right? That's why we can call the find area and find perimeter, since it is available for child as parent methods, right? Understood? So the print details, if you use the print details, uh, this is also a parent method, so it provides you the width, height, and the area, right? So you can do the same thing using this kind of a method, right? The super function, right? So super calls to the constructor of the parent. So now here, the only difference that what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the length from the main, and that length is assigned to the super function. That means super constructor in the sense like it calls to the parent class uh, constructor. So we pass this length to the what parent class width and height. So what happens? The same thing happens, right? Same thing happens. No need to assign them separately. to the width and height, you can call the construct and pass the construct of the parent and pass these lengths to the width and the height and width and the length, and it will do the same thing, right? Understood. So this is how we can use inheritance in Python to use attributes, methods, constructors, and data members available in a already existing class in a new class. So it actually makes our life easy, since no need to code it again. So we can use already existing data members, member functions, and everything from a existing class and use it in another class, right? So the next topic I'm going to discuss about overriding method. So overriding method simply what we can do is in like a parent and a child class. So now you know that this is the parent class and this is the child class. So we pass the parent to the child class. So that's how we are going to make this square class a child of the rectangle class. Now anyway, this also has a print detail method, and this also has a print details method. So we have override two functions now. When you are going to create a child square, when you are going to create the child square, what happens? It's going to get some a function called print details from the parent, as well as it has its own function in the same name. Now this is right, you can see the same, right, the same name, right? So in this method, okay, so if you are going to create a square object, and you are going to find area, find perimeter, and when you are going to call the print details, so it has two choices, like whether to call the parent method or whether to call the child method. But what happens is it gives the priority to the own method, the own class, right? So it's like you have a bike and your family, you have inherited bike. So when you are going to go somewhere, you use your bike, right? So you are going to give the priority to your bike. So similarly, if you have like overriding methods in the parent class and the child class, so the priority will be given to the child class method, right? Okay, so now combining everything that we have discussed up to now in the object oriented programming topic, so we have two uh, quizzes here. So I have given the answers as well. So please go through this thing, and please read the uh, uh, questions carefully and see the implementation. So I have included everything here. So for each quizzes, right? Okay, so thank you very much. And the object-oriented programming tutorial will be concluded here. So we will meet on advanced workshop, machine learning or deep learning in the future. Thank you very much.